Thank you very much, Commissioner of Police. We thoroughly enjoyed the information, and thank you for imparting that policy so that we're all aware as to what role the police plays in this fight against domestic violence. Are there any questions for the Commissioner of Police?
Would Mr. Rolle like to address the concept of forming a specialized domestic violence division in the Royal Bahamas Police Force as being done in Trinidad and Tobago? This would ensure that the officers would be motivated and trained to respond to appropriately to these situations, respond appropriately to these situations. That's what one of the Texas wrote.
Yeah, yesterday, Mr. Dane, I had a meeting with HSI Representative Barry Barachuk from the United States Embassy shortly after I received my white pin. And one of the discussions that we begin the engagement of is the establishment of this specialized unit. And so I'm open to that idea. That is an embryo right now, and we are trying now. I shared with him what we have now in terms of the sexual offenses unit, the trafficking in persons unit, and how we can bring all of that, because my original view was to separate the sexual offenses unit, as you are familiar now, out of CID. If you notice what I've done recently is I moved them from on the main general area and have put the sexual offenses unit now on the ground floor on the east end with their own entrance. So if you have victims coming in to make a complaint, they don't have to go through the front and the officer on the desk, because you have persons sitting in the area. And I mean, I don't know that a female is going to come in, walk into CID, and you have 10 people waiting on chassis check, and she's going to say, I've been raped. And the officer asks, what's going on? No.
Yeah.
Able to go in, nobody even know they're there. And we have the sexual suites, what we call the interview suites, for the minors that are located upstairs, which is secluded from the general area. Now that is within the CID building itself. My next move for that is to move them out of there and to find a place where it's going to give you a little bit more privacy, because I mean, you don't want to put it in a place and then everybody see you pull up and they say, yeah, that person must get raped. So you want someplace where you can have, people can get there without the general public having the view and knowing that, hey, that's what they're going there for. Yes, I'm open for that idea.
Okay, there's another question out here in the group. Is the decrease in reports evidence of an actual real decrease in domestic violence, insults, or a decrease in willingness to report to the police as primary responders in these situations? Has there been an increase in reports under curfew?
I will give you the facts as they are, and which suggests that we know that historically, whenever in sexual offenses, let's start there. If you get 60 rapes reported, we know that there are probably another 60 that are not reported. Mm-hmm. If you have domestic violence reports, it could be reasonably assumed that whatever those numbers are, that there is probably more because of persons' reluctance to report. That's not a police issue. The police is going to report the figures, but now we have been doing a whole lot to reduce instances of domestic violence. So I don't have any empirical evidence that I can say that the numbers of reports were reduced because of the COVID or because of the lockdown, because in some instances, there might have been increases in certain situations because places now are beginning to spend more time at home and getting on one another's nerves. But overall, when you look at the general, you have the category of assaults, for example, where in 2019 we had some 3,500. This year so far we have 1,998. When you look at the domestic violence report itself, between intimate partner, last year it was 900 and some, now it's 363. The fact is the numbers are down. I feel good because we have done some things in law enforcement to address domestic violence in the country. And I know that there have been those at the crisis center, social services, they are able to say what their experiences have been, because I believe they can bear me out when I say that we have been doing our referrals, less more to, I think, with the crisis center, and I've reinitiate that link that we can have a joint, because this thing is all the stakeholders. You're talking about social services, crisis center, the church, family members, and in many instances, the family will say, well, they're going to call the pastor.
Yes.
And once the church gets involved, they may not want the police to get involved, and so we not have that report to the police.
Another question, Mr. Commish. Can the COP state what percentage of abusers are police officers, if he knows?
I don't have a figure, but those that I'm aware of, I can tell you that for the year, we had 2 that I'm aware of, and one of the incidents, it was the same couple. I dealt with it, and their wife came back and withdraw.
Okay.
And the first instance, she had some surgery, went home, and I guess moved out of the home, and he went where she was, break up the windows, and flood the house with water. And she made a complaint, and then she withdrew. They made up. He picked her up, and they went out, and then he somewhere on the street, and he pushed her out of the moving car, and she got some injuries. She came back again. We made a complaint. I said, listen, I'm going to take a complaint from you. And then she came back and said, no, I don't want a complaint because I have 2 children, and he has my children on his insurance. The children are away in school. I don't want them to lose insurance. I said, but I have to take action. And we took him into custody. And this woman fought us tooth and nail, gone and get a lawyer, challenged me on the same authority, the provision of the act. Okay. And so I didn't put it before the court. Instead, I transferred him to a different island, and then he went and reported me to some other place.
Commission goes on.
Commissioner, if I might just say, there are lots of reasons why women withdraw these cases from before the court, and it's much deeper than we think. And I think that's a whole topic. Dr. Patterson would be able to assist us in getting to the bottom of it. But there are many, many reasons why women withdraw these cases from before the court. And yes, one of them is that their financial, it's a financial, she depends on his finances. And as you have just indicated, the children insurance and all of that. So yeah, there are many, many reasons why women withdraw these cases from before the courts. And that's really unfortunate. And you see, the thing is, it doesn't stop. The abuse doesn't stop. It continues.
Right.
And I think Dr. Patterson will tell you that sometimes it takes about up to 7 times, 7 different events before a woman finally gets, well, this is it. I can't take it anymore. And then she decides to put her foot down and take action.
Yes.
So there are many reasons. And that we can spend almost a half a day just talking about those reasons why women withdraw these cases. And we do understand that sometimes it's frustrating for the police. And maybe that is one reason why they don't sometimes act with the urgency that they should do. It's because, they figure, oh, here we go again. Mm-hmm. And especially if the person is known to the police. And so, yes, Commissioner, that's an area that we really need to work on.
Yeah, and I share your sentiments with you, and that's why if you look at all of the 5 interventions that we have in law enforcement, arrest is usually the last, unless under the Domestic Violence Act, there is a provision that mandates the police to take action. But we know at the end of the day. But when you, if you look at the divorce court, for example, you made a very interesting point there when you said that it usually takes about 7 events. And I'll get a request from an attorney saying, I represent this individual who's going through a divorce proceeding and who made some complaints to the police. And usually you get about 7. And at that point, they say, I had enough going to get a divorce. And when you run the report, it's usually by 6, 7, sometimes maybe 8 or 9.
Yes, unfortunate.
Yeah. But we need other interventions other than, I don't know which one that we can use, that something that is going to put more teeth, whether it's going to be through social services, where we can actually, I know we have the separation orders and those protection orders, but I don't know that they go far enough, because we still have the situation with the abuse going and it continues on.
Yeah. Well, just speaking of from the our perspective of the Domestic Violence Protection Orders Act of 2007, it really does give the police a very distinct role to play with these protection orders. And I will speak about that later on in the day. So the police really are very important in this fight against domestic violence against women and children.
Yes.
Commish, I have Shanique Ford. You had a question to ask on the group. Shanique Ford.
Yeah, I saw waving a hand.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon. Good morning, all. Commissioner, I want to applaud you as well as all the officers within the organization. I also, from being an officer and being out there on the front line, dealing with domestic disputes, well, some might say that you're being nosy or whatever, but domestic disputes is not just a one-time thing. From my observation, it's something that you have to continuously check on so that, just that little visit might bring some form of resolution. And as simple as your little initiatives, which you do by doing the community outreaches and whatever else that you may do, whereas you go in the communities and go from door to door, as little as that may seem, that breeds a whole big advantage. And it even lessens the problem. That's why I noticed that you said that the numbers have dropped. So I applaud you and I wish you all the best. And to be a good police officer, like I say again, you have to be a nosy officer. And being nosy means one time you don't just go to a complaint. That have to be something continuous. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Shanique. One of the attributes when we go in training school of a police officer is to be inquisitive. That's being nosy. You're supposed to be nosy.
Okay.
You ask a question, what is this all about, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Please don't be ashamed to be nosy.
Excellent, Kavish. Apparently there's a writer from Grand Bahama or somewhere, the family island, that asks if the same efforts towards domestic violence by the RBPF is going to be placed in Grand Bahama and all the family islands. It's going to be beefed up the same way.
Yeah, I want to say that if you look at my policing plan for 2020, I have highlighted and mandated officers. If you look what has been happening in Grand Bahama has been doing a lot, but not to the extent that we have been doing here in New Providence. And I think in some of the family islands, they've held seminars and events. But because we were in the state of emergency in this COVID environment and having restrictions on the ability, and I'm hoping that soon, because it's going to be in my policing plan for 2021 as well, because it is a problem and we want to step that up even further as we move into, so you will, yes, the short of it is, I expect to see more of it in the family islands and an increase in Grand Bahama.
Another question, Commish, that popped up and summarizing it, one of the texters suggests that maybe some of these presentations or some of these presenters can be more available to the RBPF and their training programs to come on and put some of these presentations, to add some of these presentations as to the great things that you are doing that can add to this.
Well, repeat that. You mean for the training of the RBPF?
Yeah, the officers. And maybe this information here, while I know we have some police officers logged on, that at some point it could be that the presenter you set up a forum where some of these same presenters can present to your wider body of
Yes.
different aspects of domestic violence.
Yeah, we do that for the benefit of the person and that's asking the question. We do that and we invite the outsiders to come in and do. As a matter of fact, I believe I've seen officers from just about all of our islands.
Yes.
You perhaps have more police officers on than Rotarians.
No.
Don't ask them the poll, but I'm seeing the listing in there. And it's
I hear you.
police officers. And so they are getting this today as well.
Thank you. Commissioner, while we have posed questions there, I just want to say what some of the presenters have said. This is coming from our AG. Thank you for this presentation, Commissioner. Thanks for your effort in this regard. It's a difficult job and hopefully a specialized unit can be put in place. Thank you, Commissioner. Your continued attention to this is vital and appreciated. And so, Commissioner, I think our readers, our listeners are well pleased based on your presentations and complimentary remarks. It tells us about the work that is being done, and we will continue support from Rotary and the Crisis Center. Will be continuous support.
Yeah, just before you go, Commissioner, we really need to congratulate the person who put forward the suggestion of creating a specialty unit to deal with domestic violence. I think it's a wonderful idea. I cannot speak on behalf of Dr. Patterson, but I'm sure she would be interested. And we would offer our assistance and helping in any which way that we can in helping you if that is the way you wish to go.
Yes.
And setting up a specialty unit to deal with domestic violence. But thank you very much, Commissioner. We're really enlightened by all of the policies that you have put in place and those that you will put in place further in 2021. Thank you very much. And really and truly, we tend to set up these meetings, training and educational programs, and we tend to forget about our family islands. So please, let's not forget about them and include them because they need all of this information and training so that they can assist and give valuable help in their communities. So thank you very much, Commissioner. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And good morning, everybody.